Hold up. Wait a minute.
This is Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Critic, and I shoot straight from the hip.
Yeah, you know I'm always shooting straight from the hip.
Let's take a trip around the curve. Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm a little late today. Hello, hello, hello. Ooh, boy, I look a fright. Hi, everybody. How you doing? It's your girl Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Film Critic. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I've been here, but your girl has been busy. So let's get into it. Last week I was over at Fox 11 LA doing my thing with Alex Michelson, where we talked about John Voight and these tax tariffs and write-offs and carrying on. But that's what we did over there. So you can go to Fox 11 LA and look under entertainment to see what we talked about. And we talked about Mission Impossible, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. And then I headed over to an event called City Year. It's usually an event that myself, Yvette Nicole Brown, and Octavia Spencer, we all go to collectively, but Octavia is out of the country shooting. So it was me and Yvette and her husband, Tony. And this is us with some of the City Year celebratory students that they celebrate. If you're not familiar with City Year and Spring Break, City Year is kind of like what Spotlight is. When I talk about that program called Spotlight, that Spotlight Awards that I am involved with every year, but it's on the education tip instead of the music tip. So that's us there. And then that same night, well, they also honored, before I get to that, they also honored Viola Davis. They honor someone every year. Viola Davis was the honoree this year, and she was given that award by Abbott Elementary and Emmy Award winning writer, actress Quinta Brunson. Then that same night, I headed on over to the Indian Film Festival, Los Angeles, where I was a juror along with these lovely people. And it was a wonderfully warm experience. These were some of the winners. This guy, excuse me, he won for Best Directing. Uh, and these are some other winners of the awards and some other pictures that we took. I won't bore you with all the details, but it was a really great time. And I thank Jorge for inviting me to participate, and I thank the Indian Film Festival Los Angeles for allowing me to be a juror. A couple of days prior to that, I was in Arkansas. Now, y'all remember me talking about Arkansas and how I had done Designing Women there, the world premiere of Designing Women. Well, they asked me back to be the headline entertainment for their Theater Squared Gala. Theater Squared is the theater where we performed that. And speaking of galas, the Met Gala went down last week. And I just wanted to show you some of these looks. Sierra and her husband, Serena, Lupita Nyong'o, Tracy Ellis Ross, Halle Berry. Baby, folk talked about this dress and Halle Berry. I'm like, look, if you got a body like that and you can flaunt it, I say do it. I don't see nothing wrong with it. This is my baby Zendaya and Law, her stylist, and Whoopi Goldberg. And then I set off to do some interviews and things. But before I did that, I'm going to talk about Forever, the Netflix TV series, which just got picked up for season 2. That is me and star Lovey Simone. I have an interview with her this week. Yesterday, I went to a Netflix event called Rule Breakers. Rule Makers, Rule Breakers, and it featured panels of all women. On this panel were the women that created, in the middle, there's Marbrock Akil, who created Forever. Next to her on her right is the young lady who created the Four Seasons along with Tina Fey. The woman on the far right with the blonde hair and her back to us is the producer of the Simone Biles documentary. And the woman to the left of Marbrock Akil is one of the directors for the Al Pacino series along with Angela Bassett. And the woman on the far, far left, amazing, amazing, amazing showrunner who brought us Gilmore Girls, among other things. But they were talking about that, and they had a panel of actresses as well that included Karen Pittman from Forever, It included a, a wealth of other women, and it was a wonderful thing to experience. And then tonight, oh, one other thing I did. So then I also did this. I moderated a discussion with the showrunner of Cross, which is streaming on Amazon Prime. And we talked about that. You can go see it on YouTube on the Half Hour With site on the Half Hour With YouTube channel on YouTube. Did I say that right? I think I said that right. And then yesterday, I ran over to the Lilo and Stitch world premiere where I got to see Lilo driving his little car. How cute was that? And to catch up with old friends. I loved that. Loved it, loved it, loved it. So let me come back and talk to y'all so that let me tell you what I'm going to talk about today. I almost forgot. Hello. Almost forgot what we were talking about today. All right. So I said we're going to talk with Lovey Simone from the cast of Forever. I'm speaking with Anna de Armas, who is in the John Wick spinoff Ballerina. We are also going to be talking to Tremel Tillman, who was in Mission Impossible. And I'm going to speak to the director and the star Radhika Apte from the film Sister Midnight, which was the opening night film of the Indian Film Festival, LA. All right, I think that pretty much does it for me. So let me come back on camera so that I can talk about a few things more. Yay! Hey, so let's see. I know Brandon was here and he said that he can't wait to see Lilo and Stitch on Thursday and Elio next month. You're going to love Lilo and Stitch. It was such a good movie. I had such a good time. What is going on with my spaghetti hair? Looks a mess. Anyway, but yes, you will love that, Brandon, as you do everything. So let's get into it. I want to give you a little bit of news first. So I found out, I know that while I was gone, the Star Wars celebration happened in Tokyo, Japan. And some of the news that came out of that was that Rosario Dawson is back as Ashoka. And then Ryan Reynolds made an announcement that he is going to be in a film that may or may not be a prequel or a sequel to the franchise. So we're looking forward to that. I also wanted to talk about the Tony Awards. So the Tony Awards is on their way around. And y'all know I'm a theater baby. So let me just break this down with you with the Tony Awards. So with the Tony Awards, there's three different awards that happen before the Tony Awards. There's the Outer Critics Award, there's a Drama League Award, and there is the Drama Desk Award, right? Those three awards. Right now, it's kind of all over the place. The Outer Critics Circle had Maybe Happy Ending leading the pack with 4 wins, including Best Musical and Boop the Musical and Stranger Things, The First Shadow, each won 3. A special award was given to Patrick Hoffman, the recently retired curator of the Theater on Film Tape Archive at the New York Public Library for the Performing Arts. Let me just tell you a little bit about that. So if you've never seen, if you've come to New York and there's a Broadway show that you like and you've never had an opportunity to see it, you can go to Lincoln Center, and in there they have archives of every Broadway show that's ever done. They all come and tape every Broadway show, and you can watch it. You can watch it right there in the library, and it's wonderful. But I just want to say that during Patrick's 3-year decades position, he preserved tapes of over 1,200 productions in the library's collection. Again, if you ever have a chance in New York to go see those, please do. And then also at the Outer Critics Circle Awards, Jasmine Amy Rogers won for Best Actress in a Musical. Andre DeShields won for Cats: The Jellicle Ball. And shout out to John Shivers, who did sound for my Broadway show, Tommy and How to Succeed back in the day. He got nominated for an Outer Critics Award. He did not win, but he was nominated, and I just wanted to give him a shout out. The Drama Desk Awards are going to be announced on June 1st. The New York Drama League Awards, though, were announced in the last couple of days, and they named Nicole Scherzinger the winner of the Distinguished Performance Award for her performance as Nora Desmond in Broadway's Sunset Boulevard. The Cole Escola hit comedy Oh Mary and Will Aronson and Hugh Park's Maybe Happy Endings is named the season's outstanding productions of a play and musical, respectively. Now, for the first time in 25 years in any category, Vanya, Stephen Simons' adaptation of the Chekhov play that starred Andrew Scott in all the roles, and Jonathan Spector's Eureka Day tied for Outstanding Revival of a Play. Sunset Boulevard was named Outstanding Revival of a Musical. And we talked about what Nicole got. Now, this is the thing about the Distinguished Performance Award. It can only be won once during your career. So now that Nicole has been bestowed that honor, she can never win it again. Past winners include Annalee Ashford, Danny Bernstein, Norbert Leo Butts, Sutton Foster, Neil Patrick Harris, Patti LuPone, Audra McDonald, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and Bernadette Peters. The Tony Awards are going to be hosted on CBS, hosted by Cynthia Erivo on June 6th. And at this point, there are no clear frontrunners in any category. So we'll see what happens when the Drama Desk Awards are announced on June 1st. And if one of those two people that won out of critics, whether Jasmine or Nicole, is going to win Drama Desk, that might give us an idea or an inkling of who might be taking home the Tony. But child, right now, it's all over the place. I can't even tell you. I wanted to tell you about some things I'm streaming. First of all, excuse me, I got a little congestion happening. I wanted to tell you about this series Forever. We're talking to Lovie Simone, and I'm going to play this interview with her. But let me tell you a little bit about this series before we get into it. Forever is based on a Judy Blume book that was reimagined for African American teens in the year 2018. So the Judy Blume book was written either, I think, in the 60s or the 70s, but this reimagining has these beautifully, wonderfully gifted actors playing in the Netflix series, which has now been picked up for a season 2. And basically what Forever is it deals with these two kids in the middle, played by Michael Cooper and Lovie Simone, who meet each other. They fall in love. They're young. They end up having, as first loves do, they have a little schism, and they end up separating. And that's where the first season ends. Can't wait to see what Mara Brock Akil is going to do for the second season. So I'm streaming that. I'm also streaming Cross, like I said. Cross, again, is another reimagining. It's based on the James Patterson franchise of the same name about Alex Cross. And in this reimagining, which is streaming on Amazon Prime, Cross is played by Aldous Hodge, and his best friend is played by Isaiah Mustafa. When I tell you this is the best reimagining along with Forever that I've ever seen, it's absolutely fantabulous, and I was all about it. I also want to talk to you about The Four Seasons, which is also streaming on Netflix. The Four Seasons was a film that was done in the 70s, and I think it was Alan Arkin, not Alan Arkin, the Alan that was on MASH, the one who played on, let me find his name, the one who was on MASH, he did a movie in the 70s called The Four Seasons. And it has been in another one, reimagining. He handed over the reins to Tina Fey to reimagine it for Netflix. Alan Alda. Oh, I get Alan Alda and Alan Arkin mixed up. It's a name thing, not the people. But Alan Alda was the star of MASH at the time in the 70s when this was going down. And so he created it, and it was a feature film. Tina Fey has taken it along with her showrunners, Tracy, and they have taken it and reimagined it into a Netflix series where it centers around 3 different couples. Steve Carell is in it. Coleman Domingo is in it. Karen Kinney, who was on Superstore. She was one of the recurring characters on Superstore, which I was also on, and among others. And it is a great reimagining of a story that deals with grief. It deals with love. It deals with divorce. It deals with marriage. It deals with all these different things, but it really deals from marriage from all different facets and not from a romanticized lens. That is streaming on Netflix. It also got a season 2. So I really want to talk about Sister Midnight, which was the opening night film at the Indian Film Festival, Los Angeles. I want to talk a little bit about Life of Chuck. I want to talk a little bit about a documentary called Pee Wee as Himself about Pee Wee Herman, which will be streaming on Apple TV Plus. But before we get into that, I want to have you get into this interview that I did with the director and star of Sister Midnight. Take a look and a listen. Here we go. That Sister Midnight was freaking artistically brilliant. I kind of loved it because I felt like I was watching like little vignette short stories within the confines of a film. It was beautifully shot, and every chapter was like this little vignette. I really enjoyed that. I wanted to talk to you, though, first and foremost about the musical choices because I felt like the musical choices were their own character by themselves. Could you just speak to that for a second?
Yeah. Music is my great love and my constant companion when I'm writing. And I don't think I can make a film without music being such a character within the films itself. And I love taking things which, traditionally people would tell you not to do and not to put together and juxtapose them. But like I'm a massive Howling Wolf fan, and to me, the blues is nocturnal. And to start the film on a train ride, and hear Howling Wolf, whether it's in India, it doesn't matter. I like this sort of collaging of culture and what that does, and to create a new context and to create new meaning and stuff. And yeah, I don't know if I answered that correctly, but yeah, music. Using music as a cultural collage medium within film is kind of what I'm doing.
I kind of love how you said cultural collage, and I loved how you referred to Howling Wolf as a nocturnal, as that particular song is like a
That
nocturnal
particular,
piece. Yeah, I love that. I never even thought about that until you said it. That was brilliant. Like I said, it's a brilliant film. I loved it. Radhika, this is yet another bold choice for you characterization wise. What was it about Uma that spoke to you?
I think she was Uma's free. Uma's curious like a child. There's something feral about her, like an animal. And I think all of these qualities were just what I want to be. So so I think when I read it, it just felt like a dream, and I really wanted
Were
to
you,
be that person.
well, you executed her beautifully. So Uma isn't
Thank
really,
you.
I find that I'm I've been watching a lot of the films for the festival this year, and I find that the one through line for almost all of the films is that women in Indian culture as a wife, you're not given a manual on what that's supposed to look like. You're not given a manual on how you're supposed to run a household, how you're supposed to take care of yourself while taking care of your husband. And yet Uma finds a way to live life on her own terms without giving a hoot what anybody else thinks about that. How close are you to that? Because I heard you say that you're married, you have a husband. So how close
Yeah.
so how close are you to Uma, or are you and Uma like this?
No, I think I'm proper Uma. I mean, I really don't give a I do what I want, and I'm so lucky that I've met a partner who is also like that. And because a long time ago, my there's once my family got really worried, and they were like they're trying to organize an arranged marriage meeting, and I remember very dramatically uh sort of fighting with them, saying that I'm shocked that you are my parents and you're doing this, blah blah blah. And they said that the way you behave, no one's gonna ever want to marry you. And I mean, they're literally the opposite people. I don't know what got into them that day and why were they so worried about me suddenly. And I was like, I wouldn't want to marry somebody who wouldn't want to be with who I am.
I find that
So
our cultures are very similar. As a Black woman,
yeah,
my mother comes from a generation of women that think that way. Like my
Yeah.
mother's like, oh, you better get that body tight or nobody's gonna want to marry you. And I'm like, who said I wanted to get married? Who said I wanted that kind of life? Why are you
Yeah.
putting all that on me? So I
Yeah.
totally wholeheartedly commiserate, so to speak, with how you feel. Um, Karen, there is a quote that I saw from you where you said, I'm not interested.
Uh-oh.
Huh?
I said, uh-oh.
Oh no, it's fabulous. It's a fabulous quote. I can't wait to talk to you about it. You said in regards to this film and creating this type of a character, Uma, that you're not interested in society's notion of heroism, and that this story is about a misfit who becomes an accidental outlaw, and an outlaw an outlaw and a criminal are not the same thing. I want you to expound upon that a little bit because Uma looks very much like an outlaw to me. I
Yeah, some
mean,
people don't think it's
she's
safe.
setting corpses on fire and carrying on. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that's not an outlaws, and she's wheeling them down. Like I'm just saying, she's
Yeah, yeah,
very
yeah.
unconventional.
She's an outlaw for sure, and that's what I was kind of going for. I guess I'm not interested in conventional, big heroes who are sort of Darwinian, in the survival of the fittest and all this. It's more, the people who go against the grain and beat the system on their own terms, are the outlaws. People that I consider outlaws that I'm interested in. There's a good Iggy Pop lyric, um, to shake the to seize the world and shake it upside down, and every stinking bum should wear a crown.
Ooh, nice. I love that you're into music like that and that you find a way to make it a through line in your films. I think that's just so creatively awesome. I love that so much. I also love how there's not a whole lot of dialogue in the film, that you kind of rely on the actions of the characters and the actors to kind of bring the point across. And having in that there's that whole dark comedy that kind of envelops the piece from beginning to end. So Radhika, how was it for you as an actress to be able to convey a character that way? Because a lot of times as actors, we're given a lot of dialogue, and we're given dialogue where we have to put stuff on top of it. But this is not that kind of situation, and she is not that type of character. How did you prepare for that? To make Uma as full and rounded and real as possible.
I do believe that a lot can be conveyed with very little, and with your face and your body and things that surround you. I think that's that's far. I think that's sometimes far more powerful. And in just today's material that we watch, it's always people are very scared to have this, and so most of the times you get a note that it needs to be expressed via dialogue. And so actors really don't get to get challenged enough, I think, and get the opportunity to really be in the moment and the character and find a way to convey. That's a challenge, and that's the fun part, rather than just saying everything that I feel. Then why do you need anything, really, right? So I mean, you do, but you get my point. And so I was actually really happy, and I really believe, I know for a fact that Karan had to fight for for a lot of things, and to make this film the way he wanted to make it. And I mean, to be honest, hats off to you, because I know what he's been through in the whole process, and only he could have pulled something off like this, because it's really hard, easy to give up.
My favorite moment ever is when it's close to the beginning of the film, where your husband comes to lie down, you hold your hand up, and he just flops down on the bed, and you're just like, really? That's what we're doing right now? That made me laugh. There were so many moments where I laughed out loud. But in closing, I just want to say that again, I'm just gushing about the film. I really, really, really enjoyed the film. I immensely enjoyed your performance, Radhika. It was
Thank you.
just, it was so yummy and layered and just all the things. And Karan, your filmmaking is so creatively off the cuff that I can't say enough about it. Thank you both for giving me your time
Oh,
today
thank
to
you
talk
so
about
much,
the film.
Carla.
I
Thank you
appreciate it.
anytime.
So let me tell y'all a little bit about Sister Midnight. Thank you, Karan and Radhika. It was really lovely to speak to you. So Sister Midnight, which is directed by Karan, deals with this woman in Mumbai who has an arranged marriage, and it spirals into darkness as her spineless husband watches his wife morph into this ruthless feral force within the marital confines. This is what I loved about this movie. It's centered around a woman who, in a world where arranged marriages happen, was like, I need some individuality and I'm going to take it by any means necessary. It was funny, it was irreverent, it was shocking, it was all the things. It is in theaters now. If you have an opportunity to watch it, please do yourselves a favor and go see it. It was part of the Indian Film Festival Los Angeles, and I thoroughly enjoyed being a juror in the feature film section. All right, so Lovey Simone. Lovey Simone was in a movie during COVID called Sella and the Spades. And I remember interviewing her during then. And she's since then gone on. She was in Greenleaf. She's been in a multitude of different projects with big heavy hitter actors. And it was my pleasure to talk to her again about Forever on Netflix. Take a look and a listen. Hi, Lovey.
Hello.
How you doing? It's
I'm
good to see you.
good. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great. Especially now I'm talking to you. I kind of loved you in this role so very much.
Thank you.
And I really loved you in this role. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
But what I want to know is, what did you discover about yourself while inhabiting Keisha? Because Keisha was a little messy sometimes.
She's a little messy. I learned that we kind of process similarly. We're the type to want to handle situations ourselves first and then maybe go out to the outside world so that way we can look like we have it all together. But things might not be all together. So that's something I've learned about myself. So Keisha made me go and turn inward and say, hey, maybe you should maybe lean on some community for that, because that was a big thing I think for Keisha, like her community. Yeah.
They were special, that community.
Yes.
They kind of dipped in and dipped out. I was like, can y'all just be solid for a girl for once? I was like, what is going on? And speaking of community, not speaking of community, but I'm a little bit older, and so I've had lots of relationships, and I always make an effort to try to stay friends with the people that I've broken up with, because I don't want any bad blood between us. Do you think you could ever be friends with somebody when you broke up? Have you done that? And how did that make you feel? And if you couldn't be friends, why not?
I usually am friends. I usually do like to be friends because I do think friendship is nice, and I do think that's where it started, so it don't gotta be just gone. But I do think, as far as the blocking goes, or the bad blood, maybe if there was something done to intentionally hurt. But other than that, I do believe in friendship.
Okay, now I know that this series was created for the screen based on Judy Blume's book Forever, which was huge.
Yes.
Did you get a chance to read Forever before you jumped into this role?
I have.
Oh, you did?
I did. I got the audition.
Talk to me about it.
I got the audition and I was like, this is based off of a book. I love books. So I went and got the book the same day as the audition, and I finished it in one sitting, and I was like, I need to be in this now. I'm like a bookworm, so the possibility of possibly being the girl in this was like, I love that. I need to be that. But then Mara made it aware to me, and then this didn't change anything, but Mara told me, in the show, she kind of wanted to flip the roles and have the girl be the more experienced one. And I did think it was a bit appropriate for, you know, today's day and age and with the characters and how they are. So it was nice.
Cool. When you met Mara, did you just want to break out into the Girlfriends theme song?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And the first time we met, I was like, "Which girlfriend are you?" You know, and I was like, "I think I'm." And so, definitely was girlfriend chatter there. Yeah.
That is hilarious. And last but not least, you've worked with some real heavyweights in the short bit of time that you've been doing it. You worked with Oprah. You've worked with Ava. You just finished working with Mara, Woody, Regina. Like the list goes on and on. Who's on your hit list next?
I would say, as far as directors go, I would like to work with like Spike Lee or like Ryan Coogler, or like just people that make stuff that, or Issa, like people that make black people look good and know black stories and black life. Like I would love to be in like a modern day like Crooklyn Do the Right Thing, or you know, something of that sort.
Do you enjoy bringing these black stories to the screen? Because you do it so well. When you inhabit these characters, you make them so relatable. They're not a caricature. They're not overdone. They're very, very relatable. How much do you enjoy doing that?
I think it's everything to me. I want to do this forever. I enjoy empathizing with different forms of life.
Girl, how excited are you to have that Gotham Award nomination with my boy Sterling? That's my homeboy from St.
I'm
Louis.
really, really, really excited about that. It's such an honor, and it feels so surreal. I'm wondering like when I'm gonna feel the pinch, but it feels really good. It feels really good.
Well, I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed that you take home that award.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Mama?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Lovey Simone. You know how much I love you, girl. And congratulations on season 2 of Forever. You and Mara Rakakil and Michael Cooper and Karen Pittman and Woody. Oh my God, I'm so excited for all of you guys. Okay, so Pee-wee himself. This is a documentary that will be streaming on Apple TV Plus. It's dealing with Paul Reubens. So Paul Reubens is the man who played Pee-wee Herman, who created Pee-wee Herman. And this documentary was made, it was shot, it was shot for a minute, and then he died before they had a chance to finish it. Paul Reubens died, which means Pee-wee Herman died as well. Anyway, it's on Apple TV Plus, and it basically talks about the journey of Paul Reubens into Pee-wee Herman and the pitfalls and the upswing of what all of that was. His show Pee-wee's Playhouse was on the air for 5 years. He had final cut approval over the circus film, the Pee-wee's Circus. He created The Longest Kiss in History in that film. All of his films were done under Paramount Pictures. And the biggest, and the other thing is that, let me come back on camera. The other thing about Paul is that, you know, Paul identified as queer at a really, really early age. And he was very fortunate because he had parents that supported him and loved him, and didn't pressure him into doing what is considered conventional or having a conventional life. I really appreciated the fact that his parents were those types of people. But he had some hard times. At one point, when he was on the downswing of Pee-wee's Playhouse, he was accused of relieving himself in a X-rated theater, basically being arrested for indecent proposal. Yeah, indecent exposure, not proposal. He didn't do an indecent proposal. Scratch that. It was indecent exposure in this theater, and it kind of tainted the rest of his career. His career never really recovered from that. But what I found interesting about this documentary, that's in 2 parts, is that people that are huge stars now were on Pee-wee's Playhouse. Lawrence Fishburne, who we know from What's Love Got to Do with It and Blackish and Apocalypse Now, he was on Pee-wee's Playhouse. Jimmy Smits, who we remember from LA Law, was on Pee-wee's Playhouse. S. Epatha Murkison, who was on Law and Order for 20 some odd years, was on Pee-wee's Playhouse. She played Reba. And Natasha Lyonne, who's on Poker Face and is mostly known for Orange is the New Black, was on Pee-wee's Playhouse as a little girl. So I was kind of shocked to find that out. I was also shocked to find out that the character started at the Groundlings. I studied at the Groundlings as well. And the Groundlings, if you're not familiar, it is an improv school or improv theater here in Los Angeles on Melrose, where a lot of people that have gone on to stardom via Saturday Night Live, like Sherry O'Terry, a bunch of people, Phil Hartman, a bunch of people were discovered at the Groundlings and taken to New York to do Saturday Night Live. Speaking of Phil Hartman was also on Pee-wee's Playhouse. So was Lorraine Newman and Cassandra, who plays Elvira. They all met at the Groundlings. Cassandra, Lorraine, and Phil, they all met at the Groundlings. And Phil Hartman was part of Pee-wee's Playhouse. And apparently there was a rift that they went into very briefly in the documentary. But this is the biggest thing that you will gain from watching that documentary. Paul Reubens was a big victim of fame. He was intoxicated by the things that fame brings you, but was not prepared for what fame brings you when the spotlight glare dies down a little bit. And that basically ruined him. It did. It ruined him and it ruined his life, but it never ruined his creativity and it never ruined his outlook on life. He still tried to stay positive and upward as long as possible. When he died from cancer, no one even knew that he was sick. So, you know, if nothing else, you will learn how people supported him unendlessly. But then there were people like Sam Kinison and Soupy Sales, comedians, that kind of turned on him when the whole indecent exposure thing came around. So again, that film is called Pee-wee's Playhouse, and you can stream it on Apple TV Plus beginning this week. Another person that I spoke to this week was a young man named Tremel Tillman. Tremel Tillman is in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which is coming on May 23rd. And it is crazy. I will talk about it in a minute, right after you take a look and a listen to this interview that I did with Tremel Tillman, talking about Mission Impossible and some other things right now. Hey, Tremel, how you doing?
I'm good, Carla. How are you?
I'm good. You've been busy, bro.
Well, you noticed.
I have noticed. But what I also noticed is that you was at that Met Gala in your dandy outfit.
Looking super fine.
Yes, honey. That was the blackest Met Gala I'd ever seen in my life. I loved it. And I loved your outfit. So I just wanted to give you that homage right at the top.
Well, I appreciate it.
When was the first time you screened a Mission Impossible film? And what was the first thing you said to yourself when you got the call that you were going to join the franchise?
So the first time I screened a Mission Impossible film, I had to been like 12 years old. So it was very in the beginning, you know. And I was actually mimicking some of the stunts, tearing up the house.
Oh, wait. Which stunt were you trying to mimic? You weren't trying to pretend like you was on a plane, were you?
Oh, no, not on the plane. But it's the iconic one where he's going down in like Mission and Control and he has like the beams and he's like coming from the ceiling. Like that one. I was trying to find a way to make that happen. Balancing in between like the sheets and the tabletops and all that whatnot. It was bad. It was all bad. Do not do that at home, kids. And I got the call from Christopher McQuarrie, and this was right around the time of me filming Severance season 2. And so there was a bit of a risk of whether or not it was going to work out for me to film both Mission Impossible and season 2. But I'm so glad that we figured it out. And I was so thrilled when Chris said, the role is yours if you want it.
What did you say? Were you like trying to be cool and just like, okay, well, thank you, or did you like lose your black mind?
I actually
Okay,
did
because there's a
both.
difference between losing your mind and losing your black mind.
That's right. That's right. So I actually did both. So when I talked to him, of course, played it cool. You know, I didn't give him an answer. I said, well, let me think about it. Let me look at my schedule and I'll get back to you. And then I closed my laptop because we were on Zoom. And then I lost my black mind.
I love you for saying that. I love you so much for saying that. That is hysterical. Back to the Met Gala though thing. You know, you're giving me on these red carpets, you're giving me Marvin Gaye Motown realness. Had you ever thought about pursuing a project that was centered around Marvin Gaye?
I mean, I love Marvin Gaye. So if the opportunity presents itself, yeah.
I think you need to make the opportunity presents itself. I think that would be a great project for you.
Okay.
You're
giving me my assignment. I see you. Okay.
Yes, I'm giving you your assignment should you choose to accept it.
Well played.
And let's talk about that line that you had that made me laugh. I laughed out loud when you said, what exactly is your plan? Now, this is the thing. I'm an actress too, and I delve in comedy. So when you said that, I saw the comedic elements of that. For that one line, do you do what some actors do that are a little more novice and practice saying that line a million different ways? You know the ones that say,
yes.
well, what exactly is your plan? What exactly is, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No. For me, I'm very much in the moment, you know, and Chris and Tom are so present in the work. And so there wasn't a whole lot that I needed to dig deep to get that line because, you know, Ethan's so cryptic, you know, so it really was a genuine question. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, dude, come on.
I love that for you. I really do. What else? Oh, the last thing I want to ask you is there have been a handful of actors of color, specifically black, in this franchise, and you are one of the 2 black men that's actually had some weight, other than Ving Rhames, who's been in all of all 5 of them. I think he's done 5 of them. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean for you being a person of color in this franchise? Because it's a franchise that goes all the way back to the TV show.
Right. Yeah.
With Philip Morris.
Right. That it's tough, right? Because it's so important that we have these opportunities to tell these stories, and we also have the opportunity to tell it in the right way. I feel that it's been my duty as much as I can to bring honor and respect to my community and to my household, right? Because I grew up in the mindset that, you know, when you walk out of the home, you are representing, you know, your family. And so any role that I take on, I wanted to make sure that it is in honor of and of service to the community and to my people as a whole. And I hope that this movie, or the presence of people, specifically black, in these roles in positions of power in these action films, I hope they continue, and I hope it does not stop.
Well, it won't stop as long as we have actors like you on the case. Tramel, thank you so much for giving me a slice of your time today. It's much appreciated.
Thank you. Grateful. Such a pleasure.
And it was a pleasure to speak to him too. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about Mission Impossible. So basically, in this iteration of Mission Impossible, it's called Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And basically, Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise, and the IMF team. They race against time to find the entity, which is like an AI kind of thing. It's like a rogue artificial AI that can destroy mankind or the planet or life as we know it. So the whole movie is him trying to get a hold of this entity and stop it before it gets in its tracks. This is what I'll tell you that I loved. the Mission Impossible franchise has become known for its stunts, these crazy ass stunts that Tom Cruise does. That you're sitting, when I tell you I watched a whole movie like this, leaned in, and the people next to me were leaned in. It was one of those heart stopping, hold your breath things to see him underwater doing free diving. Now, if you don't know what free diving is, I've talked about free diving on this podcast before about documentaries that delve with that subject. But free diving is where you dive down literally without a whole lot of assistance. And the further down to the ocean floor that you get, the more trauma it does to your body. If you inhale, it could make your lungs explode and you could die. If you, it really kind of messes with your nervous system. But Tom Cruise is doing this, and I'm like, bless your heart. But it was beautifully shot. Loved it. And it was all about him on them planes, honey, jumping from one prop plane to another. Child, when I tell you, I'm like, if this man dies in the course of filming this movie, I'm gonna have a nervous breakdown because I love me some Tom Cruise. I need to see him do some other types of films though, because he's scaring me with these stunts. They're fabulous to watch, don't get me wrong, but they're frightening. I'm not even gonna lie, but the stunts are what make this franchise, and this is why people go to see it, among other things. Ving Rhames, who is the only cast member in the franchise other than Tom Cruise to be in every single film, it was really nice to see him in this film as well. And at the beginning of the film, there's a really wonderful homage to all of the Mission Impossibles leading up to this point. And I really love that they would infiltrate these clips here and there and bring some people in and out from the past to revive their characters. But when I tell you, honey, when they talk about lighting the fuse has been lit. It has been blown out. It has been relit with Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. You will live your entire life watching this movie. I guarantee you. And y'all know I don't hype nothing unless I'm really passionate about it. I'm passionate about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. It was the bomb. The bomb. And not only for all those reasons, but for this reason too. Angela Bassett is showing up as the POTUS. This is her at the Cannes Film Festival where the film made the premiere showing there. Cool. So check that out when it hits theaters on May 23rd, which is in a couple of days. Again, all of the films that I talk about on this podcast, you can find the written versions of them at thecurvyfilmcritic.com. The URL is scrolling across the bottom, so you do not have to search for it. Ballerina is part of the John Wick franchise, and she is a character that has been consistently played by Ana de Armas. Ana is a beast, but I can't talk about the film, not just yet, because it's a minute before it comes out. But I can play you this interview that I did with her and Ian McShane. Take a look and a listen.
How do I start doing what you do?
Looks like you already have.
Critic.
Hello,
Hi,
Carla.
how are you?
I'm all right, darling. How are you?
I'm doing just
Good.
fine. I'm a huge fan of your work. I've been watching you for decades, and I think you are such a smart and exemplary actor.
Thank you very
it's
much,
my
darling.
pleasure to see you
Appreciate it.
today. Yeah, of course. So I feel like Winston in the John Wick franchise is a bit of a mental assassin. How would you characterize him?
That's a good word. Yeah, mental assassin. He's the keeper of secrets. He's the Wick whisperer. He knows where the bodies are buried. You know, it's like that's why he survived so long. But I think it's good that you still don't know who Winston is. It's kind of good. I mean, all I know, is that is he John's? Is he related to John? I mean, the last words you heard him saying in episode 4 was, when you think John Wick's dead, the coffin is "Das Vidanya, my sin," which is "Goodbye, my son," in Russian. And he's also got does he have a tattoo? But again, you don't want to give too much away the entire time. I think that's what this series has been good about, is not throwing everything out. I mean, the action is phenomenal. And they don't try and be too smart the whole time about throwing off direction. I mean, they leave enough breadcrumbs, as we talk about in the script, for the audience to follow and make their own That's why they ask questions. Oh, is this? It's like Anna's character in this. I mean, you introduced her in episode 3 as a kid ballet dancer, but you didn't know her back story. So when we did the original shoot, what was it? Coming up 2 years ago in Prague. And then when they put the film together about a year later, and they decided to do some new shoots, which is quite normal in Hollywood. It's got nothing to do. People go, oh, it must be, well, they're doing, you say, no, what you did was we then introduced the opening sequence of her as a kid and me meeting her. That opening sequence, which gives an emotional resonance to the rest of the film, which wasn't there before, so now so you know what she sort of went through as a kid, and there's a reference. And you can imagine sort of because she and John are from the same background, this Ruska Roma, the society, whatever. So you know that they have a similarity between them. And then, of course, when she comes to him and says, and he knows who she is obviously, and Winston's probably been keeping an eye on it for the last 20 years, I mean, no, where is Eva Macaro? And when she comes to him and he says, I would advise you against doing this, but at the same time, he's a guy that says, people have free will. They do what they're going to do, and she has to do what she has to do. And then she comes back at the end, and she seeks safe harbor at the hotel. He's there for her again. So it's a nice through line, It's a nice through line, emotional support for her, and she knows it instinctively, I think, in a way, even though she doesn't really know him. But she brings back the coin after 20 years, and
You just gave me a whole wealth of information. I love you for that. Last but not least, the Hotel for Assassins. If there was one in real life, what would it be called, and what would you like for the name for it to be?
The Murderer's Villa. How about that? No, I think the Continental's a great name. I mean, they keep opening, spaces here. Some said, oh, they've opened a Continental in Black. You say, no, the exterior of the Continental is the Flatiron Building, downtown, in downtown New York. The interior, I mean, it's like the biggest space in the world. I mean, we had in Series 3, we had this entire sort of ground floor. I remember the Continental would be beautiful hotel. Yeah. That's why Winston's, he's a hotel manager. He looks like a hotel manager. He's got to be, he's got to be taking care of everybody, But
I love that. And he does kind of take care of everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
Ian, you are so lovely, and that is my time. I really enjoyed speaking with you. I hope we have the opportunity to do it much more in the future.
Nice talking to you, darling. Have a good day, yeah?
You too. First and foremost, girl, I just need to know that scene with the dishes.
Yes.
Okay, can we talk about how frustrating or exhilarating that was for you to shoot?
Oh my God, that was everything leading up to the plates moment was really intense. And then that moment is, it's one of those things like in all the John Wick films that the action is so intense and there's so many people dying, but there's always this humor around it. And we also wanted to embrace that in our film. And that's one of those moments where, it is so, it was so funny and so spot on and so ironic, like to have these two women smashing plates to, each other's heads. I loved shooting that scene. It is definitely all that restaurant scene is one of my favorite ones.
And let's talk about in that same location in the restaurant scene where your legs are wrapped around old boy's neck and he's slamming you down. How do you train for something like that? Because I was like, girl, every time you hit the table, I was like, ooh.
I was working with the best team, everyone, even though we were going all in, everyone was always like super safe and careful, and we did rehearse a lot. And for me, the training, it was so great the way they did it, because it was a build up, for me to get to that point. It was the perfect gradient. We started with literally learning to do a cartwheel to get to that point, so, you just get strong and tough and you're all bruised, but it's fine. You just push through it. And when they show you the scene and the design of it and what they want to do with the choreo, it is so exciting and badass that I say, I want to do it. I want to be a part of it. So
So we just gonna thank a cartwheel for that. Okay. Love that. And what was it like for you to reunite with Keanu? Because I know you've worked with him 3 times in the past. Yeah.
yeah, this is our third film together, and it was amazing. I love being around Keanu, on set and off set. He's a wonderful actor, and he's so happy doing this kind of movies. This is his world, the John Wick world, and to have him now my movie supporting me and giving me my his blessing in a way is something very meaningful and very special for me, after so many years of knowing each other. And he leads by example. I was just there rehearsing with him, and it's just like he's so wonderful at it, and you just have to look at him and yeah.
Well, you know what? You lead by example because you're opening a door for women that look like you to be like, oh, I can make these kind of films. I can lead these types of films. And I love that for you. And
Thank
I
you. I
love
hope
that you
so.
gave me a slice of your time today. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Have a good one.
You too. I'm such a huge fan of Ana de Armas. I mean, she is just so incredibly gifted and talented, and she's exemplary in everything that she does. Like, it's just beyond. Ballerina is coming to theaters in a couple of weeks, but they said the embargo has lifted on the interview, so I was able to bring you guys that interview. Again, if you're able to go over to Fox 11 LA, you can check out the interview that I did there for talking about Mission Impossible and a couple of other things, because I think the embargo has lifted on Mission Impossible, which hits theaters on May 23rd. So go over to Fox 11 LA and their YouTube channel to check that out under the entertainment section. If you're not familiar with City Year Los Angeles, please go to their site, City Year Los Angeles, to find out about the exemplary and wonderful work that they do there. Of course, go check out Cross, which is streaming on Amazon Prime. I'll come back next week to talk about Lilo and Stitch, but I'll get into that in a minute. I also want you to check out Forever, which is streaming on Netflix right now. It has been picked up for a season 2. Check out The Four Seasons, which is also streaming on Netflix, which has been given a season 2. And coming up later this week, Pee-wee as himself. And again, Sister Midnight, the film that I talked about at here's a picture. Sister Midnight, check that out, is in theaters right now. It was part of my jury assignment at the Indian Film Festival, Los Angeles. Next week when I come back, oh, and of course, Mission Impossible. Hello, I almost forgot. Check out Mission Impossible. Who's talking to me? I heard that the LA premiere of Lilo and Stitch was amazing, even with Stitch driving that pink car. Yes, it was amazing. And I actually have a picture of Stitch driving that pink car. Let me show you, Brandon. Where is the picture? Here it is. There he is at the premiere driving the pink car. I love that. So yes, when I come back next week, we will be talking about Lilo and Stitch. It was wonderful. You guys, I loved it so much. I'll also have interviews with BMF stars, the BMF series, which is streaming on what? Stars, starring Nicole Brianna White and Russell Hornsby. They will be my guest next week when I come back with the Curvy Film Critic with Carla Renata. I will also be talking a little bit about the Cannes Film Festival, which is happening right now. It's on the tail end of it. I actually was supposed to be there, but it didn't quite work out. But when I come back, I'm going to tell you all about an immersive program that they had at the Cannes Film Festival, or Cannes Film Festival, however you want to pronounce it. Yeah, I'll tell you all about that. So again, give me a big thumbs up to let me know you were here. Click that bell for notifications if you were on YouTube, if you watched this via Facebook Live, if you watched it via X, if you watched it via LinkedIn or any of the other social media platforms or podcast channels. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether it's in real time or after the fact. I appreciate you. I love you. And I will catch you on the flip side. Love, peace, and hair grease, and deuces.
Hold up. Wait a minute. I wish you love, peace, and hair grease.
Love,